Scrapbooking.
Yeah, but I can't stress you enough. Like nothing. There's nothing.
Nothing.
Tried everything. She's even tried to do puzzles. She went and bought puzzles and this and that, and she just doesn't have a hobby. It's really hard for accountants to have hobbies, I've been told. So, but anyways, all right. So you guys ready? I'm recording now.
I'm ready. Wait. Which on your screen? Where is Thor? Point
Thor
to Thor.
is right there, and you're right there.
Okay. Where?
You are right here.
Down. Okay.
And then
Thor
Thor is right there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't know. I haven't put enough effort into trying to find the perfect capturing system because you have these people with these borders and shit and stuff. And if this ever took off, we'd pay someone to make graphics and stuff. And sure, but yeah, no, I'm sticking with OBS for now. All right. So you guys ready?
We're ready.
What it do? Welcome back to another podcast, videocast. Ramblings of old people, whatever you want to call it. I am your forever host, Chaz, with your other forever host,
DeHoffrin. Hey.
And we have special guest.
Woo!
Thor.
Thor.
Hey,
Disgruntled Hobbit.
It's been a hot minute since we had you.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
You're our most famous podcast. We went from 2 viewers to 4, so in math terms, that's a 100% increase. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All the fans I have out there, I guess.
All the fans, all 2 of them, you know. But I had someone talk about before we start talking about our main topic tonight. I finally have something to make you 2 jealous of something. I did make you guys jealous. Here we go. So, last night, I was invited by some friends to go to a thing called Scare for a Cure. And
Yes.
I did the interactive D&D tabletop, loosely D&D questing around this little town thing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I've been wanting to go to that.
Yeah, I did it last night. I was the
Was it good?
Crusader, which is
That's
their
cool.
version of the cleric. Yeah. Yeah, we...
Did you get any video or pictures?
You're not allowed to. You can't do any video. You can't do any pictures. When I get pictures on the website, I'll buy them and I'll put them up. But you're not allowed to take video or pictures or anything.
I actually kind of like that.
It's very interesting. So, give you kind of a couple examples that really made me really kind of help me as a DM. So we had to go to this orc, and this one guy gave us a quest. Tell me what the orcs call their currency. Tell me how their currency works, how their arithmetic works. Tell me how their symbols work, and anything else useful. But you can't use comprehend languages because you'll hear your own language, not theirs. It'll translate to common. So he wants to know. So we had to talk to them with a language barrier. And they're trying to count with us and such. And the lady was wearing a mask, so it was really kind of hard to kind of hear her, and it was really dark outside. So you couldn't see her mouth movement, you couldn't really hear her enunciate and stuff. But it was really kind of cool to see what it really truly is like in D&D when you don't have comprehend languages. And people are like, oh, I can figure this out, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, of course, I'm the dumb one of the group. The rest of the group I was with, they had all had advanced degrees in different fields, and all of them are very smart people. And we felt dumb. We felt really dumb. We were leaving wait, how do we count? And one of the people I was with, her name is Sherry. She came up with the idea that they do a base of 8. That's how their counting system works. And we're all looking at her like, okay, nerd, what does that mean? So I finally have something to make y'all jealous.
You were LARPing. That's cool. Have
So
you
do
ever
you-
done any of the FLGS stuff or any of the what's that one? True Dungeon, or is something anything like that? Any of those things?
No, unfortunately, I was never cool enough to do stuff like that. I
Oh,
have
well.
really bad friends. Don't invite me to things like that. Or move
I just
away.
didn't know if it was similar to either one of those if you had done them. So
But no, that's been one of the ones that I've been wanting to go to before I moved and left. Would you recommend it was good?
Oh, absolutely. I'll post it in the comments, their website. Yeah, you definitely should be going to things like this and supporting and looking out, because that's the thing. It's like I'm tired of the digital world. I'm tired of this now. I want to get back to real, get back to doing things, not seeing screens all the time. Except for this, you should watch this podcast. But
Just gonna say, you're literally
doing it right now.
But and dogging it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm dogging it. But no, I loved it. I loved getting out and doing that. But you wouldn't know about it if I didn't tell you. So
Yeah. But you level up in that world, right? And you get to go back and different stuff, and it's like an ongoing.
Yeah, you talk about a humbling experience. They give you a little card that you wear around like a lanyard, right? And that card has like your class and like a board game. It's got all your what you can do and things of that nature. Well, what's funny though is you get these little like tabs you put on there, and that indicates you completed a quest. And based on how many tabs you get is what level you are and such. So we're sitting there with 3 tabs, thinking we're doing great, we're progressing just fine. And then you see a guy come over, he's got like an admiral's amount of tags on his he's starting to go around the bottom part. And all I can look at him and say is like, fuck you, man. Fuck you. But yeah, it was a humbling moment, when you think you're smart and then you don't. And then my other favorite was there was one puzzle that we had to do where we're trying to logic it, right? And I'm all like trying to wait, the answer's got to be like really in my face. So let me try. We ended up doing trial and error, and I got it. One of the people explained to me that trial and error is not the best scientific method, while another person said, but it's a method, so we're moving on. So
did you get like magic items in that, like, and get to bring those back, kind of like True Dungeon?
So you get to you have to leave all the props there, which honestly, if I knew what I was walking into, because I was like invited by some friends. Next time when I go, I'm definitely gonna bring enough money to like make them an offer of, you see what you gave me? Here's this money. I'm gonna leave with all of it. Just like that's happening. What is that enough to make me leave without hurting any nerds? Is there what do we got to do here? But yeah, I was definitely caught off guard, and we weren't dressed up. We were the normies and stuff like that because we didn't know what we were going into. We had no idea what any of this stuff was. So yeah, it was dope as hell.
That's cool. So did they run it like all year? Like, is it like still going? Is it something you could just go to at any time?
1 month a year. One freaking month. April. I'll like I said, I'll send all this information to you. Okay. I didn't have any time to. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I want to say, unless they stopped, probably because of COVID, but I want to say they also did a Halloween themed one also.
They do. It's a House of Torment or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. The Halloween one is the one I've heard of. They do it every year.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be really good. That's the only one I've heard of. I didn't hear about the D&D one.
The Halloween one, these same friends did that one, and it's like scare for the cure or whatever.
Yeah.
But you have to wear not nice clothes and like have a change of clothes because you're gonna get splattered. And it was funny. You're gonna like this one, Thor. So when we were getting done, I had to. This lady approached me and she goes, "You need to paint your face. We need to put dragon scales on your face." And I have a 5-year-old, and I said I would love to have my face painted. I really don't have that kind of doesn't matter to me. But if I come home with my face painted, I'm a dead man. Because then he wants his face painted. He can't. Then he's now pissed. Because Ren Fair's over. They're done. So I'm screwed. And then it's funny, all the people there, all my friends aren't parents. I'm the only parent. But the other people are parents, like, we got you. You're free to go. Yeah. But I did buy him. They had the coconuts like in the Holy Grail where that piece. And then they're all painted up and stuff. I got a zebra one, and then we got cool. I got my daughter and my wife a shirt. So, yeah, Yeah, unfortunately, I got the wrong size for the wife, but the kids will grow into the shirt I got for her, I guess. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So I was like really excited about that. Like I said, I'll post a link of the website so our 5 viewers, could actually see what we're talking about. So, Chuck, what do you want to talk about now?
So, well, there's two things that I want to talk about. The reason why I got Thor involved was because the breaking news is Wizard of the Coast is acquiring D&D Beyond. And that is all that has been blowing up on our Discord channel. And that big news. I am excited about it. And then after that, the other thing I want to talk about was I begged Thor to bring another show and tell thing because I love his treasures that he always talks about. I always learn from Thor something new about D&D that I didn't know before.
Well, I got the drits. Because your unboxing video, which is, go watch it. But I got drits, and then when I was going in there to get find out what's going on at Tiny Tina's Wonderland, I got the gelatinous cube.
I've seen that. I want that so bad.
It's right there. So
I love the gelatinous cubes.
I want D&D statues. Please start making more, guys. What the hell?
Just don't charge $800 for them.
Don't charge.
And all of our fans and people who watch our videos, if you would love to watch me do an unboxing of the giant life-size drits, please send us money so that I can afford to buy it.
And then there's the after hours unboxing.
That thing's too beautiful. It's going up. I'm not touching it. I'm not going to play with it. It's going to be a shrine to drits.
Oh, God, that bless. Yeah, no. So, let's talk about Thor. You're a lot smarter than both of us combined, and you have way more experience with all this stuff that's going on, with all your super high-level CEO and executive training and stuff. What do you think about this acquisition of D&D Beyond?
I think that Wizards of the Coast is behind the curve. They should have done this a long time ago.
Damn.
It's with
Shots fired.
COVID was everything blew up in COVID. That was 2 years ago, right? So it took them 2 years to figure out that being able to play. So here's the thing: we all get older. We all love this game. We all love our RPGs. We all grow up, and as we grow up, we move off. We get married, move in different places, right? I mean, just even before Roll20, the play by mail, all the way back in the day when I first started playing, before the internet, there was play by mail. And then there's, forums and people doing that, playing on BBS systems way back in early computer days. And then, then come along Discord and all these other places. Way before Roll20, people were trying to figure out how to play remotely and working the system to do it. And then COVID hit, and that was a big, massive, oh my God, the technology's finally kept coming around for the people that are going up. And it was real obvious, the numbers that were going on Roll20, the millions of people diving in, and it just helped keep ballooning it. My big thought is that this was a natural place for them to go. For them to survive, they've got to level up. They got to move with where things are going. I think it's the right move. I think we're going to see a VTT coming from them real soon, and whether they buy one or they've been working on one on the side and they've been quiet about it. But I think this acquisition is a step closer to that, and I just think that this was a long time coming. They should have done this a while back.
I get it, man, because you think about it, 80% I think I saw the last study, they said 80% of the people are actually now online playing with D&D. That's a pretty hard number to find, and when you really stop and think about it, since a lot of these companies are still privately owned, like I know Roll20 is still privately owned, so that information is not widely shared because obviously for obvious reasons. So that 8% could actually be more, but it also could be less. That's another thing that's kind of interesting. So I like the fact that they're going to acquire it. I'm really excited because I think the buzz around the water cooler is getting that QR code on the book so you can get the PDF version and the book. What do you think? Do
Yeah.
you think that's a viable thing that's going to might possibly happen? And if so, do you
No.
think that increase? No?
Nope. They won't do it. They won't do it because they would be cutting into their own revenue stream. I mean, those online PDF books, there's a lot of money that's being made on those, whether they're being on the VTTs or you're going onto the DM's Guild and paying for them. Like, if you just included them, unless they upped the price of the book, which I don't think would be smart, because some people play just in person, and they'll be mad if they have to pay extra for a book for a PDF they don't want. And then they'd be cutting into their profit if they cut it and just add it to the book for free. Like, I think it's gonna be both. It's a way for them to microtransaction you, either or.
Now, you say people get upset about spending more for a book. You as a collector who, like me, I have books that I buy that I have not cracked open because I want to keep them beautiful. And I don't want to go out and buy the PDF just to buy a second book, but I need something that I can actually read and go through. Feywilds. That book I'm not touching. It is beautiful. The book, I'm not opening it, but I need a PDF. So would I be willing to pay an extra $5-10 for a PDF included instead of having to pay $40 for this book and $30 for a PDF? I would be happy if they gave me, even if it was just for if you buy the book, the PDF is free, or again, $10 more. You still sell the PDF online for the people who don't want to buy both. But as a collector, that is a big draw, is to be able to have a PDF so that I don't have to go to places online and find it for free and they get no money for that second transaction. But I don't feel as bad because I actually bought the book. I'm not just going and getting a free item.
Yeah, the thing you got to ask yourself is, how many players are collectors? And then the other thing is that they're already catering to the collectors by offering alternate covers that are limited edition. So for me, like, I typically end up buying 2 of every book, sometimes 3. And it just depends on the book. I know it sounds stupid. I buy the alternate cover of the book. I buy the regular cover of the book. And those are for the collection. I don't touch them. I have 1 of each that I don't touch. And then if it's a book I feel I'll use in my regular games, whether it's in person or online, then I'll buy another one that I use. And so I'll buy a third one. So,
yeah, because in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, I run a session at a local game store, and it's funny because I had to tear the map out of the book, and I felt Thor. I could feel his cringe happening as the tearing of the paper is coming out, but it's my alt cover still safe and secure, so it's my playbook. I mean, I'm highlighting in it, I'm making notes. Because that book is absolutely amazing. But yeah, I remember tearing it out, going, oh God, what do I do? I'm like, oh wait, I don't care. This is my play copy. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, wait till you see. So I have, for all the old D&D and the basic set box sets and all the original D&D sets, I have a collector copy and I have a play copy. Well, the value, because those are so old now, they're some of them are worth so much money. I have now taken my play copies and put them behind locked glass, because even my beat up play copies are commanding a very high sum, where I never thought in a million years my play copy I'm throwing around and writing little annotations in them, and I'm like, oh my God, they're worth, even in that condition, they're worth hundreds of dollars. And so it's just like, I would have never thought that. So you never know down the road. Say you bought 2 Volos, right? Limited covers. You go, one's a for, and you're writing in them, and they're going for $800, $1,000. So it's just like, you would have ever done that, you'd have never known. You'd be like, holy shit, I'm writing in this $1,000 book.
Volos is a bad. So funny story is, so Volos is a bad example in my opinion, because no one knew that Volos is going to be worth money. Yet people use it. We actually were flipping through the alt cover Volos. I don't know about you. I assume you put yours in your cellophane wrap and stuff, but I remember at my table throwing it on the table, this and that. And it wasn't until like a year ago or 6 months ago, wherever it was, when you made a comment, I was like, oh, whatever. There's no way that damn book is worth a lot of money. And I went and looked it up like, holy shit. Then that's when the memory floods back to when I remember my local game store. I have a good relationship with them. They're like, hey man, we got you a special cover, but they're hard to find. And I remember like all the game areas like, yeah, if you didn't have a pre-order, they didn't send it because I guess Wizards didn't think it was going to be that valuable or that rare or whatever they were doing. And it's funny, Volos ain't that great of a book. Like, okay, Aasimar, that's it. No one plays Fireballs. I have not. If you play Fireballs, comment in the comments below, and DeHoffman will personally make you a special note. Because that's how many people are going to
tell us. Sorry.
Well,
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, see, that's the thing when it comes to collections. Usually the items that are not popular are the items that are worth the most, is because people aren't buying them. So they're just not out there. So if you're a completionist, or you're trying to get a whole set, or you're just trying to get the first of something and it was a crappy book, that is like they had when 5th edition came out, one of the first Gen Cons they released, and it was the name's escaping me. It was an adventure they only released at Gen Con. And I heard it, they were doing it. I was literally online on the second day of Gen Con buying it off eBay before it got to the point where it was going to blow up. And honestly, I don't even know what it's worth anymore. It's worth hundreds of dollars.
Which
and
one?
It's a 5th edition hardbound or softbound book, and it's years and years old now, but you could only get them at Gen Con when they were releasing them. Yeah. And then the problem was they glued them because they were soft cover. So the covers kept coming off. They were poorly made. So when I got my copy, you know me, I put it in a cellophane, but it's in mint like it always was. So even the ones that were out there were falling apart. So it's hard to even find them, let alone if you find one, it's in shambles. It's falling apart. So you just got to think like a collector, I guess, to always be on the lookout for that.
Well, it's because like everyone buys, like as a person who loves D&D and video games and nerd stuff, people will buy me just tchotchke crap, or hey, this obviously has a D&D, it's gonna be worth tons of thousands of dollars one day. It's like, no, it's where'd you get this from? Target? No, it's millions were made. Calm down. Or the only one, like, I gave DeHoffman shit when he bought Dritz there. And I was like, I'm not a Dritz fan. I can get that statue whenever. And I remember when he did the unboxing video, I'm editing it, I'm watching, I'm like, damn, that thing's actually well made. That's a really good statue for $50. And I remember going over to the website on my second monitor, clicking on it, going, sold out. Give like another month or two and they'll be back. And 6 months later, there it is.
Hold on to your D&D nerds, Chaz. I'm telling you right now, those will be worth some money.
Right? I mean, oh God, I'm keeping my wife and kids away from those. They keep like inching towards them and stuff, right?
Yeah, but I think they said it was the first candy for 5th edition. Yeah. So people are going to eat it. They're not going to think about it. So you're going to have a few boxes or however many you kept, and you're going to look how many of these in the world anymore that are still not opened, still have the D&D stuff on it. So
well, I've been back watching the Goldbergs, and all of a sudden I noticed that every time that they're drinking a soda, it's the bubblegum soda. What was it? The bubblegum soda. And I was like, oh my God, I remember that. And then I went online and look, and empty cans are going for ridiculous amounts. So yes, I'm holding on to, I've got a whole bunch of Nerds candy and even the Nerds nuggets that I'm saving.
Yep.
I was about ready to open it up to play or eat while we're playing one night, and as a Thor, like, no, don't.
Don't do that.
It's because, I mean, it's I've got a, it's funny, you have your D&D collection, and I was actually, because of your, impressive setup, you're also a bad friend because I showed my wife your impressive setup, and she made me go buy furniture to try to mimic something like that. And I've been told I got to take my laptop out there and record in front of that when we do D&D and such. So missed opportunity. But yeah, I've got one of the original boxes of where I learned to play D&D on, and the only thing it didn't come with was the dice, because I remember, like, who cared? And even now, I as a collector and as a fan and as a diehard person, I didn't really give a shit about the dice. Like, that didn't bother me. But the little red figurines that were shitly made, and yeah, they're still mint. They're still in a little baggie. But the masses, it's the dice. It's the fucking dice. And we talk about complete collection.
That is really part. You can guess. Like, I've got experience from collecting for a long time, so I have kind of an eye for some things. But I'm telling you, 95% of it is still just guess. You just never know what is going to be worth a lot of money. Like, you just never know what's going to take off.
And do you know why the dice were so important?
Why?
Thor knows what was so special about those dice that came with the original boxes.
Are you talking about the chits?
The blank dice that had no numbers on it, and you had to write the numbers on the dice.
Oh, that's 80s, buddy.
They had numbers on them, but what they were is they were etched inside, and and all the dice came with a crayon, and you'd have to use a crayon to kind of. Well, what it is when you do the crayon, I have them. I have a whole bunch of them around here, but you would use the crayon to kind of go and sketch on them, and it would get inside the little grooves so that you could see them. But it was just because the way they were manufactured. They didn't have, back in the day, because that was the late 70s, early 80s. Actually, it was late 70s, mid to late 70s. They didn't have technology or machines that could do like different colored, like now it's you just take it for granted. Yeah, like you just can. So they would just basically cut out the numbers, but because they're see-through, you could hardly see them. So you would just take a crayon, so the wax would get inside of it, so you could actually see the numbers. So all the dice came with crayons. So
yeah, these dice weren't valuable in that sense because of that. It's that nostalgic piece that you had to guess. Like, I thought the figurines would be worth more money, but like the map, the transparency, because back in those days in second edition, travel time was really not as streamlined as it is now. It was really hard to kind of figure out how far. DMs kind of had to make up on the fly and stuff like that. Because again, this is back when Dewey Decimal was prevalent and the king of everything. And now we have Control F, Google search, blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean, just type it in. But
the dice is the new thing. Like, the dice is not. If you 7 years ago or 8 years ago, old dice, you could pick them up for almost nothing. Like, it's a relatively new thing that is just blown up out of nowhere. That's one of those surprise things, is that they just came out of nowhere and people realize they're just all gone. Like, collectors, old players have them, and you just can't get them. And there's a nostalgia to them, having your old dice from the 70s or early 80s and rolling the dice from your first character. It just like clicked one year or something, and then they're going for small sets, are going for hundreds of dollars. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, we were talking about completion. I remember the one of the most valuable NES games is Little Samson, and it's a game very few people know because it came out right at the end of the NES, in the early '90s, and it's worth so much money because if you want a complete set, you have to have Little Samson. And I think the Stadium Events is the most expensive, the best one. But yeah, I get it. I get it with D&D. I get with the collections and being complete, stuff like that. But I'm sorry, I don't get a lot of it sometimes. Like, there's so much crap out there. I don't know what's going to be worth anything. I just like, if it does, hey, great. If it doesn't, whatever.
Never know.
But going back to our original topic. Like I said, old people rambling because we're getting old.
What I'm excited about is homebrew. There are a lot of DMs out there that when you play don't like homebrew rules, homebrew this and stuff. If it's not in the books, you can't play it. And for me, who likes to go up wild and crazy and wants a unicorn, half human player, and my best friend tells me, no, I can't have that. I have to go to Chaz and say, hey, Chaz, can I do this? And he's like, sure, whatever. D&D and beyond, with all the content and half the stuff there is homebrew stuff that people are creating and putting on and selling. Wizard of the Coast taking it over, it's going to be so much easier for them to incorporate all this stuff that becomes popular on the site and make it canon within the D&D world. So all this stuff that was once just homebrew is now going to be part of the game. And all their expansions and stuff, their ability to tie in everything is going to be so much better and I think streamlined. And I think that's one of the positive things that's going to come out of this as well.
Well,
Wait,
I think the biggest positive thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Thor. Go ahead.
No, just one quick add to kind of related to that is that actually the biggest thing that struck me about D&D Beyond, about all of this, is I want to say it wasn't until probably just a couple years ago, I actually thought Wizards of the Coast owned them, I thought they were Wizards of the Coast. I had no idea, and I bet you there are a lot of people out there that had no idea that they were. I just assumed like why would Wizards of the Coast allow them that much freedom and control like they did, and it wasn't part of them. Like that's so. I mean, them owning them makes sense, but
I know why.
Why?
Because reading up on this whole thing, getting ready for this, and the reason that they're acquiring them is because, and it's going to be such an easy transition for them, is D&D Beyond was actually paying royalties to Wizard of the Coast for their stuff, and that's what made it them allowed to do all that stuff. And so, and also with acquiring, it's going to be so much easier because they've already been a part of it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I think the best part about this, and it's kind of articles here and there and kind of people alluding to it, but really struck home with me was they're actually going to know now the statistics that people are doing when they look at their books, they look at the characters, because that's going to be great. Wizards of the Coast is actually going to see what everyone's making, so we can actually now have a population list, so we can start seeing the future of D&D. Because, of course, no one makes a tier 4 warlock because they're absolute garbage, and monks right behind them because they're absolute garbage in tier 4. But I mean, all joking aside, it's gonna be nice to finally have maybe they'll start tailor making things towards the mass majority, because I love 5th edition, the fact that it's the first edition, the first, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. It doesn't matter what you play anymore. It does not fucking matter. You can pick whatever you want. Because I remember in 2nd, in 3.5, and 4th, do we have a fighter? Do we have a cleric? Do we have a rogue? Do we have a mage? Yes, we have all 4 of those. Okay, now we can play. But if you didn't have a cleric, you're like, nah, we can't play. The damn cleric didn't show up. Or we don't have the fighter. We don't have a frontline fighter. Things like that. In 5th edition, you don't need that shit. None of that matters. A fighter can take the healer's feat, which is the most broken feat in all of 5th edition. If you don't know that feat, go look it up. It's fucking amazing. But a fighter can take that and take the mantle of healing myself, healing my party. Potions in the player's handbook. Hell yeah. I mean, when you're a 3rd level barbarian, what's 2d4 plus 2? But still, I love the fact that Wizards is going to have data they never had before, because these privately owned companies are not going to be sharing that data, because obviously they don't want anyone to know the revenue stream, because we were trying to speculate before the podcast what the revenue rate of Roll20 was, and I went cross-eyed trying to do math and stuff, and when I thought I had it right, Thor said, no, that's wrong. And I was like, well, then I just don't want to do this anymore. So all this little chart I have right here of maybe 5% doing this and 25, he's like, none of that matters. I'm like, you know what, guys? Hello, friends. Let's talk about collectibles.
That's funny.
But
yeah, I don't know. I think with them acquiring D&D Beyond, the thing I like about that is I think that they're learning, because, and not just the fact that they're behind the curve and getting on board with remote playing, but I think they're learning from their past history. So like in some of I think it was 3.5, they tried to go down the software route and develop some of this stuff themselves, and it sucked. They're not software developers. And so I think that they learned from that. I mean, now they're a bigger company, right? They've got Magic Incorporated and all this other stuff. But I think that they're doing more online and stuff. But I think it's smarter for them to purchase companies that know what they're doing. So from the standpoint of a VTT, I really hope they follow that same pattern and buy one of the players that are already out there, that already have the user base, and incorporates them into their ecosystem. And then, because I think what that's going to do is regardless of what they purchase, it's going to pull people from those other VTTs in, because they're going to have access to D&D Beyond and the VTT, and it's going to be all part of the subscription with Dragon and everything else they're probably going to be throwing out there. But it's going to be in one ecosystem on one umbrella. And so I think they're going to hurt the other companies, whichever ones they get, and it just makes sense to buy an existing company that's already doing this. So. And
that was one of the things we were talking about earlier too, was it really doesn't matter which ETT they take over, as long as it's not Roll20, because Roll20 sucks and needs to go away. Everybody is going to flock to whatever Wizards hitches itself to. It's just obvious. They've and we're speculating that it's probably going to be the fairgrounds.
Fantasy Grounds,
because they are already incorporated with D&D Beyond. You buy the PDFs from them. A lot of them have the compatibility to go to there. So that just seems like the most logical choice for their next venture. And yes, they have to go into VTT because. Well, and we need something else better than Roll20 because.
Well,
Roll20.
Here's the thing, though. So everyone keeps talking about Fantasy Grounds. So Fantasy Grounds, let me go over the real quick pros and cons. Fantasy Grounds pros. It's not the platform itself is better. It's the fact that it has more users that actually program because it's on Steam, whereas Roll20 is not on Steam. The app is on Steam, so you have a lot of people who are independent creators, people who are collectors, lovers of the game, who are smart and capable, who just make content for free and throw it on their downloadable.
Open source.
Fantasy Grounds actually supports 3.5. So let's take the Hoffman, for example. He's in a split decision household. His absolute horrible husband, who will not go to 5th edition because apparently he doesn't believe in putting 5th edition in his tea, but he wants to take 3.5, but it's more advantageous for D'Hoffren to actually buy Fantasy Grounds because he can play his 5th edition with all the normal people and better people and funner people, while the curmudgeons stick to 3.5 for whatever stupid reason. They want to stick to a broken system. That's the pro. But the con is, it's an application. It's a program. So if that app doesn't get supported on a mobile iOS or on a laptop or something of that nature, it's an application versus Roll20 is a web browser. So when anyone who's done anything with the application try to get multiple users on one application, Xbox One down here, when we try to play Dark Alliance, it doesn't work all the time. Matter of fact, it's extremely problematic because how many people, which blows my mind, still don't know how to open their NAT settings on their Xbox. We've been doing this now for 20 years. Open the damn router. Just let us in. And that's what bothers me. I think what D&D is going to have to do is go after the web browser. I think it's a better fit for them. And Fantasy Grounds, I don't think. Go ahead.
There's nothing to say that when they take them over that the product isn't going to go in a different direction either way. I mean, they're going to come in with a lot of money, and Fantasy Grounds has been sort of homebrewed, and they're a smaller company, but they're going to have the Hasbro money behind them. So whatever is the best for the product, like and applications sometimes are better, right? You don't have to deal with server load and things like that. So as long as the support is there, and they fix the product, then I mean, you can say that applications suck, but there's Roll20's lags.
Yeah. How many times have we been playing on Roll20 and you rolled a hit and 2 hours later you get your results?
Oh, I'm on vacation right now. Like, I started vacation. I don't go back until a week and some days. And I have a laundry list of setting up. I am never rolling on Roll20 ever again. After today, I will never roll on Roll20. I have a dice tray with dice. Will be right here. I'm moving my Xbox. I've got it all planned out. Fuck Roll20 and it's dice roll. Not because of lag, but because that shit hates me. And I support those motherfuckers. I support them.
I don't care what Roll20 says. Their dice system's broken.
It
does not roll right. So
Absolute
Wizards of the Coast buys them. That's the first thing they better fix.
Yeah.
If they buy Roll20.
From this point on, as a cleric, I'm never getting a attack spell. I'm taking Guiding Bolt off. Fuck that. I'm going to make you DM roll. You're getting DCs, and everything's charisma and wisdom based. Moving on. That's a fucking promise.
But you might know more about this than us, Thor, but how hard would it be for them to take an application and convert maybe not the whole thing to a web browser, but take the same thing and externalize and make a separate that interacts maybe or something?
It's a complete engine overhaul. It's like literally rewriting all the code. It's a different language and everything. So
I don't think it'd be hard. It just wouldn't be cost effective.
It would take a lot of work. Like the part of like, you know, how they want things to look and feel, like the UI design and things like that. It's already there, but the engine behind it is completely different. It would be it wouldn't be as much work as like from beginning to where they are now, but it would be a pretty big overhaul.
I just think of this as like the story of when Xbox tried to buy Nintendo because Bill Gates like, we don't make hardware, we make software. And someone says, why don't you buy Nintendo? And I love how people like in the gamer community like, you can't buy Nintendo. And Microsoft's like, yes, we can. We can buy them. We have the money. We have the power. But it's I like the simplicity of the web browser versus the application. But again, if you do Wizards of the Coast buy something, definitely buy Fantasy Grounds. Keep that shit on Steam, because I do want to play 2nd Edition again, not on the Goldblock SSI. I want to play shit, with D&D people, not, and make that shit available. Pay some people to PDF it. This guy right here, you pay him a lot of money to scan all day, he'll do it. Just an FYI. Yeah. He'll leave his job right now and scan books. Just send him all the books for free. And then send him 3 copies.
3 copies.
No, 3.
3 copies to scan.
It is funny. I think my own personal achievement, because on our Discord, for our 4 viewers that aren't on our Discord, Thor likes to flex and remind me that I'm not that good a D&D collector and D&D because my setup doesn't look anything like that. But I do have 4 books from 2nd edition he doesn't that are actually worth it. Is the Encyclopedia of Magic Items. So, yeah.
I'm going to go and buy them just so you can stop saying that phrase.
Okay, you know what, Thor? That's just rude. All right? I just want you to know
I'll make
that's
sure
rude.
I get them in shrink wrap still, too.
I'm going to see that happen. I'm gonna, when that post does happen, Lyndon is going to eat that shit up and snort it up like cocaine. It's going to make him stronger, yes. His hair will grow like Samson. But yeah, I'm all for it. I'm really loving the fact that I really love the idea of better online, but more anything, just more accessibility for online, more accessibility of PDFs, because as a DM, it is kind of nice to have PDFs so I can plan shit out, and it is nice to have them for like when I go to cons and stuff, not having to lug 10 more books. Stuff like that. Yeah. It will be nice. Because that's another question I wanted to ask you guys. Do you think the people at DM's Guild should be shaking a little red booties? You think the conglomerate that is Hasbro is going to gobble them up too?
That's an interesting point. Maybe they may kind of gobble up the whole online. They have the money to do it. So.
I mean, I know you probably aren't a big fan of it, but I love the TV show 30 Rock, and I love that idea of the vertical integration that Jack always talks about. And no, I did not name my kid after Jack. Literally, that vertical integration, Jack. That vertical integration, that really spoke to me. And when I was thinking about this, doing my research on this subject, I was like, what stopped them from buying DM's Guild? Which wouldn't be a bad thing, in my opinion.
So
I think that's another one that it falls in the same realm as, the D&D Beyond. When DM's Guild came out, because it's got all their logos and everything, like, I thought Wizards of the Coast owned them too. Like, they're the same sort of like, really? They're not owned? They're owned by a different company? Like, I didn't know that up until just a few years ago. It was the same thing. Oh, yeah, I could see that happening. Sure.
So I don't think that they're shaking in their boots, afraid that it's going to happen. I think they heard this news and they're probably excited, like, oh my God, we're next. Because Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, while they're interested in making money, every company is wanting to make money, they seem to care about the people that buy their product.
Okay.
That's what I feel. Whenever I'm doing stuff with DMD, at least the books, I want to talk about the figurines and the crappy paint jobs that the pre-painted ones come out with. But
I'm more along the lines of the unpainted Tiamat only being $50 cheaper than the fully painted one. So
yeah, with the exception of the figurines. I'll concede to that. But with everything else, it does seem like a company that cares about the people. And they're not going to go in and take over something that the fans love and use really well and use a lot and just totally bastardize it. They're going to take it over and take it over with love. It's not like Microsoft is taking over. If Microsoft was buying out everything, then I would be worried. But it's Wizards of the Coast. They're a gaming community in themselves.
Wizards of the Coast, if you're watching this video right now, just send a comment that you want Chuck's information so you can offer him a job, because he obviously loves you.
I do.
Well, the minis that you all are talking about, they're whiz kids. They're not even.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the D&D team, when they launched 5th edition, they were small. Like, there was I think it was 8 employees or something like that. Like, that was a small team. I think they tried to run lean so that it was profitable. And it's just, I don't know what they're at now, but like, I think it ended up becoming such a hit that who knows how big that team is. And now they're like, hey, it's here to stay. We've got a new version coming out in 2024.
Oh, God.
I think it is. And so they're gearing up for that already, the shifting to that. So it's just steamrolling. So now they're starting to acquire other companies. It just makes sense. Like, it's a gradual progression of a successful company. So.
I think the day that sixth edition comes out, 6E comes out, all the people that De Hoffern has told to stop being closed-minded in their life will be in his front yard on lawn chairs looking at him, saying, are you going to buy your 6E book now?
I got a theory on this. I know we're shifting gears a little bit. I do not think Wizards of the Coast will release a 6th edition. And if they do, it is going to be so far down the road. And here's why. Because 5th edition is so successful off the heels of the worst edition price-wise. I know you liked it.
I love
4th edition. I did not like it. I hated 4th edition. As a matter of fact, that was the longest gap of my playing in the newer edition was from 4th edition. But it was so successful, it was only around for a short period of time. That's when they lost all the momentum to Paizo, when Paizo ended up being number 1 with their 3.5 OGL license they had and took it over. 5th edition came back and took it back. I think that bruise that they got from rolling out, from going from 3.5 to 4th edition is really, they're still feeling it. And so I think it would be very dangerous. That's why what they're doing now with 5th edition, to easing into this sort of, it's still 5th edition, all your products still work. Like that is a sign of, we learned our lesson, and we're not going to go out with a 6th edition and make people buy over and make major overhaul mechanics and then end up losing everybody again on something that is really building momentum still. So I think that you're not going to see a 6th edition for years and years and years. That's my gut.
That's another thing that we talked about, was that the system I love and it works. And I'm going out and buying all these books that go into this 5th edition world. Like having to start over with a new engine going in is stupid for them, in my opinion, when they could just keep expanding the world, coming out with new modules, with new stories and new worlds, places that we haven't been to. Bringing back, there's still some places that we haven't gotten back from the old editions that they can still bring in and making it into this thing. And the expansion that they can just do, they could live off of 5th edition for years.
10 more years plus, easy.
Well,
yeah.
And that's where the money's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I could sit here all day and tell you how good 4th edition was with, cantrips, so, I won that argument. Because there was shit.
4th edition is why Mark stopped playing.
If I wanted to play a video game, I'd get on WoW, not pick up a 4th edition player's handbook and module.
I will tell you, there were a lot of things in 4th edition that stunted my growth as a person and as a gamer and as a collector and as a DM. And it took years of maturity to overcome, but I'm sorry, when they cantrips, I mean, with the power system in 4th edition, we got cantrips, so now spellcasters can actually do shit. And for every player who says otherwise, go pick up Baldur's Gate, the game, not Dark Alliance, Baldur's Gate on Steam, play that motherfucker, then come talk about spellcasting. But I guess you're talking about 5.5 maybe in a couple of years, a little revision here and there. Maybe get rid of Warlock and Monk or make them actually useful. That'd be nice.
That's what they're doing. They're kind of shifting. They've already said that's the direction they're going.
Yeah.
Is it's slight revisions that are coming, and they're actually even in the newer books, like the new multiverse book that's out, the one that's in the collectors, and then the other one that comes out I think next month. They're gradual changes to this 5.5 that they're implementing. So it's going to be easy progression.
And like you were talking about earlier with the way they've got it now, where we don't need to have one of every class to do a campaign. How many times has you shown up late to a game and everybody else has already claimed your top 3 players that you want to play, and you're stuck? Nobody wants to be the healer. Nobody wants to be the tank. Some people do, I know. I'm just generalizing. But being able to play, I love bards. I always want to be a bard. We already got a bard in there. Doesn't mean I can't. Rogue, I suck at it, but he's fun. You only need one. And we don't have a healer. Come on, I know you really wanted to be a rogue, but we really need a healer. It's like, no, you've got the bard. Bards are great healers. Not as good as others. I'll admit to that, but it's more well-rounded, so you could actually play what you want. And that's another fear of going up into another edition, is breaking this harmonious thing that they've created where everybody can just play and be happy and be stupid.
So final verdict on Wizards buying Beyond, D&D Beyond. Blood Ocean Cult is a thumbs up. All right. Now you were asked, Thor, to bring a show and tell item. Did you bring a show and tell item?
Well, I have a couple items. I don't know what I talk about in the past before, so I just grabbed a couple things so I can talk about either and or whatever. I brought a issue of the Strategic Review. I don't know if you guys know or have ever heard of this.
Nope.
Never heard of it. What is it?
It
Gather
is
around,
from
children.
This is from 1975, and this is back in the day from when TSR used to send out these little to their gamers. It's basically pamphlets talking about what they're working on and what they're doing. This they didn't come out with a lot of these. There wasn't very many issues that came out. This particular one I have is the second issue ever printed. And what's special about this one in particular, this is a super rare item in that you'll see the big black box, right?
Yeah.
And the black box has a tribute to Don K. And I don't know if you guys know who he is. But,
That mean guy that kept stealing Mario's girlfriend?
That's Donkey.
No, actually, you guys might want to know about this guy, but
Okay.
he actually formed. He was the co-founder with Gary Gygax to form TSR. He was the guy that went into business with them.
Okay.
But that tribute box is because he died just a couple years after forming the company, and they started building momentum. So this was a tribute to him in this pamphlet of the second issue, and so it's to collectors. It's got sort of a special meaning. It's a mention of him basically dying, and what he had done to the industry. But anyways, super rare item. You won't typically find them anywhere. Another one is not quite as rare, but probably cooler. Have you guys seen this before?
No.
So this is a module called Inferno, and it's by a company called Judges Guild. Judges
Turn it
Guild's
a little bit more towards your face. Put it in front of your face. There we go.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
it's a company by Judges Guild made this back in I think 1975 or 76. Actually, might even be a little bit later than that. Might be like 79. But what this was the actually I take it back. It's 1980. I just remembered. So much shit to remember. So this was an adventure that they created that was supposed to be 2 parts to it. This was the first 4 layers of hell. And this particular adventure was the first adventure to ever have Asmodeus in it. So the first adventure to have him, he was actually in this. He's a wandering encounter you can run into in this. But the idea around this, or why they even created this, was because back in first edition days, one of the spells that was real popular was called Geese. And it's still around, but back in the day in first edition, if you play first edition, those of you that do, when you cast Geese, there's like no save, no nothing. It's like you give them a quest and they have to go do it. So a popular one back in the day, even in tournaments back in the early 80s and late 70s, is mages would get Geese and they'd go up to a monster and go to hell. And so then that would be and if they had to complete it, so that was literally the creature would take off and just go to hell, right? So Judges Guild, they got together and said, hey, wouldn't that be cool to create an adventure so that DMs could have this when they say go to hell? Then okay, well now here we go, we can start doing it. Well, with this particular adventure, they never created the second half to it. Like there's only the first 4 layers. And the reason why the second half never happened is this came out during the turbulent time when D&D was being questioned as being satanic.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was a lot of pressure on getting rid of devils and demons, and that's why second edition, they didn't really call them devils and demons. They had them in there, but they had names for them, and they weren't quite the same, but there was a lot of pressure. So the second part of this never came to tuition. It never happened. So anyways, it's a pretty rare item. So
Yeah, it's going to
That's
be
awesome.
interesting. It's going to be really interesting because they've been doing all the archdevils and stuff. I assume they're saving the best for last. They're going to do Asmodeus last because he still hasn't been made yet.
Yeah, that's right. I can't wait to get him. And funny thing, so just real quick on this.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
when this was going around and that stuff was happening, and I have it, I think Ches, I think you might have seen it, but the churches were in the early 80s, I think it was 1980, 81, maybe as late as 83. Some of the churches would go door to door and hand out these pamphlets, at least in Southern California they were doing it, about how D&D was satanic. And it was the pamphlets that talk about how it's evil and the best things you can have is a 666 on your stats. And like there was just all these things they tried to align and all this other stuff. But I have one of those pamphlets that they handed out in the 80s, the door to door. It's in freaking mint, like looks like it's never been touched. That I still have in my glass case behind me. But
I always found that
pretty cool.
funny. I always found that funny. It's just kind of those pieces, like, because you have people who are devout Christians. One of our players, TJ Draconis, he is a devout Southern Baptist. He is a diehard Southern Baptist. And his parents swore we were, like, doing bad things. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah.
This is, we hate, I remember growing up in high school and middle school, TJ and I, we hated doing things outside the way other kids did. Like, oh, let's go watch sports. We're like, why? No reason to like sports to us. So we play D&D and play video games all the time, right? I just blows my mind like how these Christians would really think it's satanic when a lot of Christians played it. Just
well, did you know how that steamrolled? Do you know how that started?
I mean, I don't know if dug into it. No. So
what happened is there was a suicide. I think it was a suicide. Yeah, it was a suicide that happened, and it was in 1979 or 1980. Some kid killed himself, and when they went to go investigate, he was into D&D, and so it became such a big, like, in the news deal that, and then it started. That's where the momentum started saying, well, D&D did it. It was a cause, like they say, hard metal makes you, if you listen to heavy metal and whatever, video games rot your mind, or whatever channel you want to go down. Well, back then they were starting to use it as a scapegoat. That's how come Monsters and Mazes with Tom Hanks came out. That was a movie based off that kid that killed himself that played Dungeons and Dragons, and it ended up getting such a spotlight that they even made a movie with Tom Hanks in it. But that started the momentum of, it was D&D that did it. This kid was demented because the devils and demons he was worshiping in playing this game caused him to do this. And so that's where it all, just people that are dumb that don't know the game, and,
Well, because I've talked about Monsters and Mazes on this podcast before. If you haven't watched it, it's great, horribly bad movie to watch just for laughs. And it stars Tom Hanks, who doesn't love him. But reading up on the movie, all that stuff, yes, the kid killed himself. Yes, his brother went and pretended to report himself missing for a while. But it was all with his home life and his parents. And the news reporter who picked up the story just went in that direction just to steamroll it and make it into a story, because it wasn't really a good story. So all that hype that she put into the movie or into her reporting was all fake and had nothing to do with the case.
Yep. I mean, obviously, right? Or everyone would be dying if we were all playing D&D. Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, is it got the bad rap, and it actually almost sunk TSR. Like, at the time, they were getting lawsuits, and like there were products that were having to pull off the line that they spent a bunch of money in developing. Like, it was a turbulent time for TSR at that point because there was so much pressure on it. Kids couldn't play. Like their parents were like not letting them play, and it was a small cult playing back then. There wasn't a lot of people, having some of that just taken away. Like I was really young at the time when I started playing. When I was 11. But when I was playing and when that was going on, I actually had a friend that I came in and was bringing the books in to go over to his house. We were going to play, and his parents asked me, "Is that Dungeons and Dragons that you have?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "You can't come to my house with that book." Like, they threw me out of the house because I had a player's handbook with me.
Yeah. That exact same thing happened to me. Yeah. We got in a lot of. That's why it's funny not to put myself on the same plight with anybody who's going through any civil rights things going on right now, but it's kind of funny to me how I'm now more open about it, and I'm now more like, this is who I am. I don't care anymore. And it's kind of a glimpse into that world of like, now I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Yeah, that's what I do. I play this. I don't care. And it's funny when I'll be sitting there, people in the normal world, when they ask about the game, well, we sit there talking, they go, well, who do you play with? And I'm like, well, we got a couple kids, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, this and that. Then I've got a couple of people. I got a software engineer. I've got, this. a high school teacher, and they're in their 50s and stuff like that. Like, wait, what? I'm like, oh yeah, no. See, we're not closed-minded assholes. We can do whatever we want to have fun. We don't have to watch football. There's other things other than sports, or knitting,
Yeah,
or worrying about what our fucking neighbors are doing in their yard.
Yeah, yeah.
We want to play in our imagination world. So,
with this one, this was hard to get because of that. Like, stores would pull it off the shelves, and like even the few gaming stores you could find these things, they quickly became kind of just vanished like overnight. And so you can still get them on eBay, and they're, I don't know, 100, depending on the condition, you can get them for a couple $100 if they're in really good condition or something. They're not super expensive. So there was enough of them out there, but they're still, you don't see them too often. You may see one on eBay once in a while or something, but it's just interesting history about that one.
Yeah, but this is another thing. Wizards of the Coast, if you're watching, which I know you're a big fan, you could bring back this module and finally finish it and bring us closure and make it playable for this 5th edition. Yeah. And I actually think that would be awesome. They need to start doing that, is bringing back all the old stuff, finishing what they haven't completed, and just more. Give us more. I'm greedy. I'm Veruca Salt in Willy Wonka. I want it all.
What they really need to do is, I know WizKids is not Wizard of the Coast. I understand that. But WizKids keeps putting out all these big giant miniatures, big giant freaking monsters. Damn it, Wizards of the Coast, start making modules where I can start using those damn figurines, because it's getting really hard to convince my wife that's a good idea, that I'm going to use them. She's like, sure, you're going to use them. And I'm just there going like, she actually has a solid point. Yeah. It's because the Trash is coming in September, and she looks at me and she goes, I assume we're buying that too. And I was like, oh yeah, the budget's already been aligned for that purchase. I mean, it's a fucking Tarrasque. Yeah. And it's funny is the original shit module for 5th edition, Tyranny of Dragons, my Sunday group, after playing through, Rime of the Frostmaiden, they're like, well, we want these characters to go to 20th level. I'm like, well, get ready to fight Tiamat, because that's your next adventure. And everyone's like, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you just hit something to me I've been talking a lot about with my boys, in that, what strikes me as weird that Wizards of the Coast is not doing, and I just don't get it, is almost every adventure that they create, they keep coming out with these, they start out at 1st level. And a lot of them end at like 10, right? So, or 12 or 15. It's like, why aren't they coming out with any so I can go back and pick up my old characters that are 12th or 14th or 15th level and do a 15 to 20 or a 13 to 20? Like, all of them are always 1st level. And it's like, I don't always, every time I do a campaign, want to start back over at 1st level. Like, I have characters I like from other campaigns that now they have to be in a homebrew, which is fine. I like homebrews and stuff, but it would be cool to have one that's like, I was blown away. Avernus is 1 through 10, right?
Yep.
You're going to hell, and it's 1 to 10. That should be 10 to 20. I mean, that should be like, I don't know.
Spoiler alert, I'm a motherfucking angel. My favorite part of that whole book was when our compatriot Christopherson thought he was the king damage, the king shit for damage, and they started seeing all the D10s I can roll now, and I'm like, no, I can out damage you now.
Is that what happened on Thursday?
Well, so he was, everyone, the Paladin Smite, everyone's talking about the Paladin Smite, right? Which, don't get me wrong, it's a shit ton of damage. But people forget barbarians have brutal critical, which doubles dice. And at a certain level, we double. So you get to add we get to add 2 more dice. So if you have a 3d10 and you then add another, because of brutal critical 2, you add another 3d10 and then another 3d10, that's 9d10, correct? Then critical, double it. Make it 18d10, or 12 D10s, between 12 and 18, depending on what the DM says. That rule could be loosely, is it after you roll a critical you add the dice, or is it, because it says you double all damage dice. So he tried. It was so funny on Discord. The only time I wish we were recording a session, because you could see him start looking that shit up, because I dethroned him real fast. He's like, "Are you sure it's 12, Chaz?" I'm like, "Go ahead, motherfucker. Look it up." And I just pasted shit. I was like, "So there's my math. You any problems with that, Christofferson?" And all my shit's radiant. So, yeah. Angel Sword,
did you guys ever finish? You guys didn't finish Avernus yet, have you?
No, we're waiting for you guys. We're waiting for
good.
The flakes in the group.
I was hoping I was just hoping you guys didn't finish that. I know we're close, so I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna miss this one. I hope I don't miss the ending. So
now the only thing I want to bring up before we get off, because we are at that time frame, is I always forget the name of the two guys, but let's do it real fast. I got it right here queued up. Is John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein. Don't fuck up Dungeons & Dragons the movie. God damn it. Want you to watch Knights of Badassium and do the opposite of that. Because that movie is utter dog shit. It
was not. I will drive back down to town.
I will hit you with my walking stick, my cane. I will poke you in my front yard. That sounded bad. But I will stop it. God bless it. You two better make a good movie. Because son of a bitch, I want a good movie. I have to watch that shit 2000 movie because I have to. And I have to watch the Dragons of Autumn or whatever. And if you could be so kind, just please let Matt Mercer make Dragonlance cartoons. Could that be a thing? Because Vox Machina is amazing. I know it's not D&D, Thor. I know they're not playing D&D. It's entertaining. But you have to watch the Dragonlance cartoon, and it's hard to watch. But you have to, right? Okay, you know I'm right. So, Critical Role, make Dragonlance for me, please. I need more D&D in my D&D, okay? I need that shit. I need a champion fighter in the fighter. White old grizzled man. That's my soapbox rant about D&D and the entertainment business. And don't let them get you down about Dark Alliance, even though DeHoffman's never played it before. That game is amazing. And all you assholes out there, leave it alone. That game is fun. It's not pretentious like, Cyberpunk.
Just like to say one thing about that. Love it, beautiful. Just change the controllers or make it so that the people could go in and change the controls themselves. That's what drives me crazy about the thing.
Why does that matter to you? You don't play the game.
Because it's hard.
I want to pull up your Xbox information, put it right here, and show how many hours, how many minutes you've played of that game. Because he's too busy playing Hello Kitty Sunshine Island or something to play Dark Alliance. He's doing a Dungeons & Dragons podcast. Sorry, that's my rant. You too, make a fucking good movie. That's all I'm asking. It's not hard. But I think that pretty much wraps up for today. What do y'all think?
I think we're good.
Yep, we're good.
So, Doffrin, let's go ahead and let's get yours out of the way. How do you want to say goodbye?
I just want to thank Thor so much for coming back finally after years of trying to pull you back in. It's always awesome to have you and seeing all of your cool toys. Cher, please call me up. We'll have a good time. I will teach you all about being an awesome bard in Dungeons & Dragons, and you'll be awesome because you're fucking Cher. Go to Netflix, watch the Winx Saga and Julie and the Phantoms. We need to bring them back right to your people. With the power of the internet, we can get them back. I've seen it done. Till next time, see you guys.
Thor, would you like to say anything before you get off?
Collect D&D stuff. You won't regret it.
Don't let him fucking fool you. That man has a time machine. That man has a time machine. I know he does. He's got a time machine. He probably has the 3 of them. One to play with, one to mint, one just in case. Well, remember, folks, you can always be cool with somebody, but you can't be cool with yourself. I don't know. Have a good day.